I am back. And we're not absolutely tanking the frame rate. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened yesterday. Normally, like the you don't know the layout of my house. The kitchen is kind of set away from everything over here in the corner, so signal strength is a little low in general, but I can usually pull in a pretty solid 10 up rate in here. It's way better if I go in the rest of the house. Um, Yesterday I was getting half, 0.5. Occasionally it would spike to about 2, but then it would drop back down, and it was kept going. The bit rate on OBS here kept going to 0, and it went to 0 hard enough that it was dropping stream several times. Not a tenable situation. We couldn't do anything. So I gave up on it, which was unfortunate. But we're here. We're trying to do lunch. These things can't wait any longer. They actually might be already over the hill. This brown speckling has expanded, and this one is developing some indentations that don't look so good around the top. So we might actually lose some of the squash as we go into it. This one is in better shape overall, so it's still nice and firm. There's no soft spots. It has the same brown speckling, but I don't know that that's a problem. Still sounds nice and solid and hollow. And you can hear that tap, tap, tap. This is going to be an odd one. I don't know if anyone's going to show up on Wednesday for lunch. So if you're here, welcome. Weird time. I guess this is a test run for Wednesday at lunch. Who knows? We're going to cut this one first, though, because this one looks like it will be the worst one. It's still, the bottom part still sounds pretty good. I don't know what these are going to be like inside, so we're going to cut that open and find out. I kind of want to try making a curry, because I figured that will work if it is a winter squash or a summer squash. It's some kind of a squash. It's Bengali gourd, is what the sign said. And the sign said, the sign where I got this says, cut it, peel the skin, scoop out the seeds and the fibers, which is how you do with like a winter squash, hard squash. But pictures online I saw of this cut into, and one person I managed to find who actually found this exact fruit, cut into it, and made something out of it, said that it was more like a summer squash, more like a big zucchini, like a big hard zucchini, and that it was sort of solid through the middle with the seed fibers the way zucchinis are. So we're going to cut into it and find out what I'm working with, and also find out if this one may have gone off too far, because those spots don't look great. So let's slide over here and get into it and just find out what we're working with. No, we're gonna need a big knife for this. I don't have a slicer that's long enough for this, so we're just going to use a large chef's knife. Take the top off. It's white on the inside. A little bit spongy. Oh, and it... Oh, what is that? Oh, it smells like... It smells almost cucumbery. That's interesting. Bottom off. Okay, there's some spots on the inside. Probably because it's been sitting here for a couple days waiting for me. But less than I had feared, so I guess moment of truth, long ways. Oh yeah. This is not a winter squash. It's Oscillese, yeah. Um, Only Patsy showed up yesterday when I attempted our makeup for Monday. Uh, because I was only on for like 2 minutes before everything went to absolute hell. I was getting half a megabit upload rate, and I was losing about 60% of my frames. It was a mess. But these guys can't wait. They have to eat them today, so we are doing a lunch stream. Also, welcome. Also, you're first. Amazing. This is the big weird fruit that has been hanging out. Here's the one I haven't cut, and here's the one I have cut. And it's interesting. It's a fruit fly, probably because these are starting to go off. So there's a few spots. We're going to have to trim out some spots. It definitely has seed, but it's sort of, oh, there's little. Oh, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the snake gourd, but more on the zucchini end. And I bet you it's getting that sponginess because it's overripe and the interior is starting to dry out a little bit. I bet you if I got one that was fresh and didn't have this brown, uh, this has a name. This brown stuff has a name. It's not rot. It's a thing. Pears get this sort of brown blush that forms over the skin. I bet you if I'd gotten one that was green fresh, it would be very much more like a zucchini on the inside. So I think that means that my plan of trying to turn this into a curry will work. We're going to lose some around that part for sure. The skin seems edible. Or at least tender enough. I wonder if those blemishes are only skin deep. So yeah, I'm here on a Wednesday because I have to use this up, and I figure it's not going to wait. And I've never tried a Wednesday lunch time slot. I haven't tried a lot of lunch time slots. I did a Wednesday dinner time slot once, and it was not my best. Um, so that's what this thing looks like. I think I want to fry up one of these straight, as we've done with a couple other things, just to see what it does when I cook it. If it turns to mush, if it firms up. Because we're in exploring new fruit territory. Oh, this one is not a sweet fruit. This is a. It smells almost like grassy. I'm pretty sure you have to cook this one. We could try tasting a piece of it raw just to see what it does, but often you shouldn't taste fruits you're unfamiliar with raw. A lot of the ones even the ones we eat, will have some sort of mild toxin or something that disappears when you cook them. It's reasonably firm. The seeds look kind of big, so that might be a concern. It's almost like a fabricy. So we're going to slide over here. I got out a pan. I got out a big pan because I'm going to try using this pan to cook the thing properly, but I want to cook some of it just plain. Just to see what it do. It might be a sponge. It might be like an eggplant where it just soaks stuff up. And while that's getting started there, I guess we're going to just do a taster of this. I want to test the skin to see how tough it is. Oh, it's interesting. It's crunchy. It's not bitter at all, which I'm a little worried about overripe things going bitter, and this one's not bitter at all. It's very mild, just sort of slightly vegetal in flavor. It reminds me of something, but something. It reminds me of something. It's very, like, generically vegetable flavored. The seeds are tender. The seeds aren't hard. Fascinating. The texture is kind of like a really light melon. Like it's less dense than a melon, but it has that same kind of slight fibrousness to it. I know I've tasted something like this before. It's very fresh. It's a very fresh vegetable-y flavor. Hmm. Also eating a piece raw, we'll see if I get rapidly violently ill. Because that could always happen. That might be fun. Um, Interesting. What does it taste like? I know I've tasted something very similar. What is it? It's like, keep nibbling at it until I figure this out. It has just the faintest sweetness to it. Not the skin part. This white interior has just the faintest sweetness to it. Not enough to call it like a sweet fruit. What is that? It's so familiar. It's so close. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm not sure. It's somewhere between the flavors of zucchini and cucumber, which is odd. Those things look very similar, but they taste very different. Um, and this, I'm not sure which way this one's gonna end up going. You don't typically cook cucumber like on heat because it breaks down really fast. It goes to mush very easily. Zucchinis also go to mush pretty easily, but less so. Um, it's sizzling audibly, and the tip has sort of shrunk in. So I think we have a situation of it. It might go to mush when you cook it. Oh, it's hard to pick up. It has gotten slippery. Oh, but it browns. Okay, interesting. It browns as well. It's kind of shriveling into itself around the middle area, but it also browns. So Interesting. I had a heck of a time researching this one. I always research my big weird fruits at least a little bit um, to ensure I'm not poisoning myself or something. I had a hell of a time researching this thing. Um, Whoa, I just lost my balance. Swinging my arms around. I had a hell of a time researching this thing because the sign called it a Bengali squash, and when you search that, you get Bengali recipes for squash, mostly butternut. Um, but they don't include this. They don't include this fruit. They don't include this actual plant. Um, and apparently, it has a bunch of names. Okay, so yeah, the interior. There's sort of a thicker rind part, and then there's this sort of interior that contains the seeds. Uh, and that part is getting very squishy, but not like mushy. It's just kind of getting soft, and I think it's soaking up some oil. Interesting. Fascinating. I won't need to eat the big one. This one, the small one over here that we cut into, is in much better shape on the interior than I thought it was going to be based on the exterior. So I think I can hold on to the other one. I don't have to use it literally today. Oh, come on, flip. It's hard to flip. It probably would be easier to flip if I had put it in a pan that I could do the tossy toss on. It's like green beans. That's what it reminds me of. The flavor reminds me of a very, very mild green bean. That's why I couldn't put my finger on it. It was in a completely different realm of the botanical family tree. It tastes like green bean. Weird. Well, let's pull this one off. Turn the heat off. Let's pull this one off and see what we're working with on the cooked version, because it's got this. Ooh, it's juicy. It's dripping. Slide over here. See what we're working with on the cooked version. It's hot. It's hot. It looks almost like it's gone to a jelly, but it doesn't break apart when I pinch it. It just kind of pinches, and the outer skin is still firm. So we could probably work with that as is. Oh, that's not going to focus. It's gone translucent on me, and it's got a decent amount of browning on the outside, which I'm surprised. Often these watery vegetables don't brown at all. They just kind of steam in their own juices and turn to mush. Mmm. Mmm. Tastes a lot like olive oil when I cook it in olive oil. Not not a ton of flavor cooked. I think it has a little bit of flavor on its own raw, not a ton of flavor cooked. I think if you like grilled it, I bet you this would be a good grilling vegetable. Because I feel like it's soaked up a lot of oil, and that's why it tastes like oil. But I think if you split it like this and you laid it face down on the heat, get some browning on this side. It's actually pretty tasty. Okay. I'm going to soldier forth with my original plan because I think this will work fine. It's sturdy enough to stand up to some cooking, and is sort of a bulk starch vegetable. I know it's big weird fruit, but culinarily this is clearly a vegetable. Okay. Yeah. Let's dive in. I'm going to make curry. We're going to make a curry using this. But I'm not going to have rice. This is going to be like more of a curry soup with big chunks of this as my starch. It's honestly pretty tasty, and I'm a little bit surprised. I thought that it was going to be for sure over the hill at this point. Speaking of over the hill, we're going to start off with an onion, but we're going to get into this onion and see if there's a gnarly bit that I have to cut away. Ooh, that one's a bad onion. Halfway down. Halfway down, it's good. Okay. Halfway down, that was a bad onion. Okay. I got discount onions, and let me tell you, a couple of them have not been so nice when I get into the inside of them. And that was one right there. This one, same bag of discount onions, looks nice and clean on the inside. Discount onions might not be the best idea. I might not go for discount onions in the future. Because if they're to the point where they're putting them in the discount, they're probably going to go off like right away. I suppose it depends on how big the discount is. I got like 10 pounds of onions for $1, so throwing a couple of them away isn't a big loss. They have really terrible skins. I'm just going to sacrifice outer layers to get these skinned. And then I just want sort of chunks. Onion chunks. Let's get the heat back on that pan. They're big enough, I'm going to go for 3 chunks. Okay, that pan is hot too, so we gotta move. I'm just throwing stuff in at the moment. Part of the reason I want to do a curry is I have come up with a plan to use up that failed papaya coconut ice cream stuff, and I'm turning it into a curry, which seems like a weird idea, but I can't see why it wouldn't work. That stuff wasn't heavily sweetened. And if we lean into the fact that I'm going for like a tropical fruit curry. There's a little bit of the papaya itself left as well, which we will check on before I use, because it's been in the fridge now for an extra 2 days over what I expected. But I might throw that in. We can have like a fruit, because the papaya wasn't cloyingly sweet. Okay. Throw our bell pepper in. Get those guys cooking out with a pinch of salt. And I guess I want to do this guy next. And we're going to lose any bits that look like they got weird brown spots on them. I don't trust that. Like that one, I'm just going to pitch the whole thing. Honestly, for as gnarly as the skin was starting to look, the interior is just delightful. I should turn the heat down on that pan a little bit. I had it extra high for browning reasons, which I still want, but I don't want to burn my vegetables too quick. Pickle-like. This is grayscale? The vegetable? I mean, it's green on the outside. Let's throw that in there. The interior is very white. A little bit of sort of, I suppose, grayish around where it's starting to dry out. The skin is supposed to be this bright sort of jade green, but as it's been sitting around, it's been developing more of this brown spotting, which I was worried about, but it seems to be fine. I'm only worried about brown spotting on the inside. I wonder if you can just like roast whole sections of this, what that would do. I don't think we're going to put any protein in this today. I think we're going to stick with all vegetable, since we have a great deal of vegetable to work with. I'm going to keep an eye on this and see if I might add more. If it completely shrinks to nothing, I might add more just to bulk it out a little bit. Overall, fairly impressed. I don't know how much these things cost on their own. They were in the discount bin. But I'm more excited to use the extra one now after this first one has gone so well. The extra one is even more sturdy in one piece. Something we're throwing into today's pot is this tomato, which, if you can see, there's sort of a, you can't see, it probably doesn't show up very well. There they are. There's these radiating lines. I dropped this tomato right there, and it was so ripe that it just split in every direction, which means it's going to go bad very quickly because the skin has been ruptured. So it's going in my pot today. Although we're, oh, it's so juicy. I need a smaller, sharper knife to get that core out. Take the little stem core bit out because nobody likes that. And I guess this knife is probably sharp enough to, yeah, slice up this tomato without completely crushing it. So the tomato is going to provide some savoriness. This side got a little bit more crushed. Going to provide some savoriness to my concoction here. I'm going to go scrape that right into the pan immediately. Not looking for big chunks of fresh tomato. I'm looking for cooked out tomato, because that guy got a little mushed up. Wipe everything off so I don't get tomato juice on absolutely everything. That was a juicy tomato. Juicy, juicy tomate. Nope, I am getting tomato juice on absolutely everything. It got underneath the board. Delightful. Okay, okay. Slide us back over here. We're going to need a spatula. We're getting a little bit too loaded for the tossy toss in this pan. Okay, okay. Boy, I wanted to keep adding things. I guess I'm going to add smaller and more intensely flavored things from this point forward. So we should be fine. Because the pan is looking a little overloaded. I was going to throw in this mango as a fruit option to really sort of lean into our fruit angle. And I'm not 100% sure. I've also got a lime here. We're probably going to throw that in. That'll be mostly I mean, it'll just be juice and some zest. And this stuff. This stuff, here, let's slide back over to the countertop. This stuff, this is our papaya coconut failed ice cream. You can, it's not completely gone to heck, but they're weirdly watery, and they've both split. They have the texture of a split hollandaise, where our coconut fat has separated into little, like, suspended globs instead of a nice smooth emulsion, which is unfortunate because it makes it very unpleasant to eat, even though it still tastes nice. Since this stuff is not very sweet and has a lot of coconut fat in it, I wanted to use this as no, I'm going to throw this into our vegetables on the stove. I'm going to use this in place of a coconut milk in that plate of vegetables to turn it into a curry. Yeah, so we're going to add spices to it, because this, if we taste this stuff, first of all, look at this texture. Ugh, it's terrible. But if we taste this stuff, it tastes a lot like coconut milk, and sort of a fruity sweetness, but not like a really intense one. It mostly comes through as just sort of weirdly split coconut milk. So that's the plan. I'm going to heat it until it fully splits and has like coconut oil floating around, and then we'll have sort of a fruit curry soup. And that's the curry plan is because I want to use this stuff up, and it is not good as is, and that's the plan. That's the plan. I don't think we're going to take very long to do this plan today, which is good because this is a lunch. This is a lunch stream, and then I have some veggie broth if I need to bulk it out, but I probably don't. Honestly, probably just add a little bit of extra water. It's so unfortunate. The texture just never worked, and I couldn't get any. At no stage did this have a pleasant texture, and it has had so many different, separate, bad textures. And I just don't. It feels like such a shame to throw it away. So I keep trying to save it, and that's where we are now, trying to save it once again. But we're going to get our vegetables cooked before I add a bunch of liquid to it. I want them. So here's a piece of the gourd that has been in contact with the pan. The rind, the outer surface, is nice and sturdy still. The inside has gone very, very soft, like an eggplant does. But it's not turning to complete mush. They're still connected. So it has sort of a thick part that functions as a vegetable and a mushy part on the interior that's more like the inside of an eggplant. I can work with that. I'd have to think about it. I might get another. Well, I have another one. We literally have another one. So I'll think about what to do with this one, and we can revisit it before 8 goes off. I have other things that need to be used up as well, such as this jalapeno pepper that was getting a little bit soft. We're going to throw that in. Seeds and all, but minced up so that the pieces are small. That gives us some spice. I might throw in another 2 spears of this toward the end so that there's a little bit more of a chunky part to it. Because I think the ones that are in there have cooked down. Maybe. We'll see what happens as I keep adding stuff. Oh yeah, I wanted to add I wanted to check on. We have to check on it first. It might not be good. The extra papaya pieces. I saved them. They've held up well. They're going to disappear because everything is sort of verging toward this same orange color. Put them in. I don't want them to go to waste. That's what today is. Today is things are not going to waste today. That's the plan. I have this little knob of ginger. It's looking a little bit gnarly. We're going to trim the gnarlies. There. We're going to trim the gnarly bits. I could do that. I could make that a regular thing, like no waste Wednesdays. Use up for lunch just whatever I can put my hands on that I haven't used up that needs to get used up. Make something. Okay, we're gonna set aside one of these and we're gonna throw it in late so that there's more visible chunks of it. We're gonna pick the one that's the nicest. Because I want to have some visible chunks as we go in to the final stretch. Because they're getting a little lost. What else goes in a curry? We need some spices, which I'm just going to kind of eyeball and cheat. And it's got to remember, tropical fruit curry. So maybe dial back the coriander a little bit. We can put in some powdered ginger. We're going to want some turmeric, which is going to burn if I put it in too early. Fennel? I don't think I want fennel. I think I want... Ooh, there we go. Ooh, we can throw some nutmeg in. That might be interesting. Cardamom, saffron. Too late to do saffron. Anise. Definitely gonna throw some anise in there. Celery, cinnamon, clove, allspice. Cumin? Cumin. I'm tempted to throw some nutmeg in there. Fennel, anise, allspice. Do I have ground? I have ground allspice. We could do just a scooch of ground allspice. Those are all the blends on that side. Let's get back over there and make sure I'm not burning anything. Ooh, get a little bit of a spice from the peppers on my nose. Dropped a little bit of onion there. Okay. We're going to take the heat down a scooch. We're going to pinch of salt as an abrasive. Grind that up. I'll throw a little black pepper in there as well. If we refill the black pepper, we're down to the dregs. Grind that into the powder a little bit. Okay. I'm adding to that a little bit of already ground allspice. A little bit more of that. And some freshly grated nutmeg, which are going to take us in sort of a warm, hopefully a warm direction. I suppose I could grate the nutmeg directly into the mix over there. Okay, when our dry spices go in, we can't wait super long so they don't burn on the bottom before we put in our wet. So I have to be ready to put in our wets. Okay, I think we're ready to put in our wets. So dry spice in. Along with a bunch of turmeric. Stir that all around. And in comes our ice cream. Quote unquote. I'm also trying to kind of get away with not making a ton of dishes. So we're going for kind of a one pan thing, and curry's a nice one pan thing. Okay, get this mixed in. This is going to need a little bit more liquid. But the papaya will definitely give us a nice, rich orange color. Okay, it's looking pretty good already, although that's, again, the papaya is giving us a nice, rich orange color. It's also very thick. Thick to the point of it for sure needs some water to be a little bit more of a soup to start with. I did put a little bit of tapioca in our attempt at the ice cream, which definitely caused it to be thicker. And I'm not serving this over rice, so I kind of want it to be a little bit on the milder side since I'm not cutting it with a big starch. I don't know why I opened a search tab. I didn't search for anything. Okay, should taste it before I add more stuff to it. Probably going to taste a lot like my coconut mixture at the moment, because it takes a little bit for those flavors to infuse. It's a lot like that coconut mixture. There's a little spice to it, kind of a warm spice flavor to it. Okay. I do definitely want the acidity of the lime. We may as well throw in the zest while we're doing such a thing. Some citrus juice will give us a nice bright flavor we currently don't have, although it's a sweet, fruity flavor. It's not that sort of tropical brightness. And the acidity of some citrus should give us that. We're going to do the whole lime. We're going to zest the entire lime, and then we're going to juice out the entire lime. It's also kind of a greasy mouthfeel, which should improve as it cooks. But it's because we used an extra fatty coconut milk to try to make that ice cream work. So it's a little bit on the fatty side there as well. Which the citrus will help balance out. I'm kind of making a sweet sour soup, but not really. I'm not really following the rules of a sweet sour soup. We're gonna ream you right into it. because a little bit of pulp will be a-okay in there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sweet sour tropical fruit curry soup. Stir all that lime through it. And then I think we're going to cook it until it starts to re-thicken. I watered it down not because I wanted it to be more soup. Well, I did want it to be a little bit more soupy, but not just because I wanted it to be more soupy, but because I wanted to have enough leeway to cook it down a little bit more. We also will taste it for spices. And we're going to put a little bit more of the gourd in it so that there's some more visible fresh pieces, because I want to emphasize the gourd. And everything has kind of turned into a generic orange over here. Is that good? Cut! Requested a moisten. Can do. That's moist, baby. Hi, Cut. Welcome, welcome. It's hard to see what's going on in there because it's all drowning in orange liquid now, but this is the other one. We cut up one of them, or two of them. This is the vegetable. I call it big weird fruit because it is a fruit, but culinarily this is definitely a vegetable. I've determined that it tastes like green beans, but when you cook it, it tastes like the oil that you cooked it in. It kind of loses its flavor, which isn't bad. It has an interesting texture. It's an odd one. It's an odd one. And what we have going on over here is a tropical fruit sweet and sour curry soup. Kinda. I just kind of threw stuff at it. I think it might be underspiced, like not piquancy, but like it needs more complexity. Throwing a little bit of that. What am I doing with the extra one? Well, I'm going to stick it right up my butt. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the extra one. It's so the first one. Well, the one I cut up. That just needs to simmer for a little while. So we can talk about other things for a moment while that just simmers. So the one I cut up, and still got chunks of it here because they're quite large, and I didn't need all of it. The one I cut up was extra gnarly on the outside. It had developed these little black spots. There were some little soft parts, but when I got inside, it was perfectly fine. This guy is less gnarly on the outside. It's got a lot of this brown stuff that has been spreading since I got it home. But I bet but it's it's nice and firm. It's nice and solid. There's no soft spots. There's no black spots. So I bet, near as I can tell, this one has at least a couple more days of sitting around before I have to get to it. So I have time to think about what I want to do with it. What I don't have time to think about is what to do with the remaining slightly more than half, although we're going to throw one more of these spears in there toward the end so that there's some more fresh pieces so that I can point at them and say, look, that's the thing that I built my whole dish around. I think we're using that. I had picked one out, and now I've shuffled them. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of those. Some of them might end up in the trash, because if I don't know how they're going to keep once they're cut. I feel like this is one of those things where you got to use the whole thing once you break it open, like a zucchini. But we'll find out. And then and it is splitting, so good. The bulk of the liquid in our soup here is actually coming from the failed papaya ice cream from last week, which I have just given up on. It didn't freeze well. It froze into just a brick. When it thawed, it split. It split into like the texture of a split hollandaise or a split cheese sauce. This sort of really weird, grainy, lumpy thing. So I'm leaning into that. And we've poured it in here, and I'm just going to deliberately cook it until it splits. Because it should, in theory, split into papaya mush and coconut oil. I think the issue we keep running into is that the coconut fat, when it's cold, it's not want to incorporate into anything. But when it's hot, it's a liquid, so it can float around and be weird. Now it also, now that it's getting hot, I'm getting kind of a weird old coconut smell off of it that has me worried. So that's not the best. Let's cook the shit out of it. Cook it to death. Otherwise, in there we have a bell pepper, an onion, a jalapeno, a whole bunch of that gourd, ginger, more ginger, coriander, cumin, anise, turmeric, pepper, salt. I just threw in a little bit of MSG because I felt like it needed more depth. There's no meats in this. We're going for a veggie soup. There's a whole lime in there, which did not sour it up nearly as much as I thought it was going to. So, ooh, it tastes really nice. It's sour. It's gotten a lot more sour since I last tasted it. It's sour, spicy, faintly creamy. I'm just tasting the broth part. I'm considering making lunch on Wednesday a thing if this works out, just to use up stuff. Because we were supposed to use this guy on Monday. Then Monday was a holiday, so I pushed it to Tuesday. And then Tuesday, my internet took a big old shart, and I couldn't get a connection through. Uh, so we pushed it to today, but I have dinner plans on Wednesdays as sort of a standard thing, so I didn't have time to do a Wednesday evening thing. So we're doing a Wednesday lunch thing. And I know nobody was expecting it, so I know nobody showed up. But a couple of you showed up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh yeah, there's chunks of papaya in here because I also had some extra chunks of papaya that didn't get used, and I just have to use them up, so I threw them in. So that's kind of what we ended up with today. Because the onions were getting a little bit gnarly, so I had to use up an onion, and the peppers are getting a little bit wrinkly, so I had to use up a pepper. So it was just a lot of have to use up stuff. I bought no new ingredients for this. Well, I did. I bought a mango, which didn't end up going in there. Hi, Selena. It is. We're doing lunch. This is lunch. Hi. Hi. Um, yes, it's an early stream because because I don't have time to do a dinner stream today, and the big weird fruit, which I should just put here so people can see it all the time. The big weird fruit wasn't going to last much, although this one I think is going to last now a few more days. This one looked like it was about to go to heck, so it wasn't going to last, so I had to use it today, and I just jumped in on it. I was going to do it yesterday. We were going to have a stream yesterday. You may have gotten notifications about it. I don't know. My internet crapped itself and I couldn't get a signal through. I have considered trying to do a lunch stream before. I was doing it on Saturdays and turnout was awful. So I scrubbed that and we've been doing other times. You know, as I always say though, in between my scheduled episodes, if inspiration strikes me, or if in this case, I have a bunch of stuff that just needs to be used, we're going to jump in with an in-betweeny here. So yeah, that was the plan today, is just use stuff up. I'm fascinated by this big weird fruit. Slide back over. Oop, it's covered up by all my stuff. Oh, I don't even have the angle for that. I'm fascinated by this big weird fruit, and I might seek it out in the future. I'll have to see how much they cost. That's always the thing. I got these for $1 because they were getting clearanced. So I'll have to see what they cost fresh. If they're too expensive, then I might skip them. Which is always the danger with these big weird fruits. Because I don't live anywhere near where these things are being grown, so they're being shipped in. So I'm paying for someone to ship them halfway across the world. And it means that even though they might be a super affordable staple crop where they're from, they end up being expensive for me. But it's a fascinating mixture. It has the flavor of a green bean, the texture of sort of like a dry cucumber. They're not juicy at all. They're very dry on the inside, but not actually dry. They just hold on to their moisture because when I cooked it, it started producing a lot of moisture. So it's not that they themselves are dry, it's that they don't give up their moisture the way a cut cucumber does. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this spear and cut it into chunks so there's some more visible chunks in our soup when we get to the serving part, because I want them to be more visible. So we'll do that. It also cuts very easily. And the instructions, because my grocery store, when they have fruits that are not local and they know people might not be giving them a try, they put a little bit. Print out a little card and they put it next to it that says the name of the thing, and then it tells you a little bit about how to use it. And for this one, it said, cut them into long wedges, which we did. Peel off the skin. Scoop out the seeds and fibers. Now, I don't see no fibers. The seeds, I took a bite, are nice and tender, like a cucumber seed or a zucchini seed. And also, I tested it, I checked it, and the skins are definitely edible. So I think their instructions are wrong. We're throwing some chunks in there. We'll give this liquid another taste. See how it's developing. See if we need anything. But yeah, Euro-friendly stream. I've tried to do Euro-friendly time slots before, and people don't show up. So I kind of give up on them. I suppose I have to announce them so that people know. The taste is nice. It needs something. It's got a good spice to it. It's got a good sourness to it. It needs something. Something. What does it need? No more liquid. I almost think it needs some sweetness. I think we're missing on the sweetness. And I could just put some sugar in, call it a day. Let's put this coriander away while I'm considering. It's not super strongly flavored, which I was going for, because we're not serving it over rice. You want your curry to be strongly flavored when you're serving it on rice, because the rice soaks up some of the flavor and sort of evens it out. If you're serving it as a soup, which we're doing, you don't want that because nothing is going to cut the flavor. So if you make it too intense, then you're going to just have a really overpowering soup. The kind of old coconut flavor and smell has mostly cooked out, so that's definitely good, because that was a little bit off as soon as it started sort of bringing to a boil. It was giving me this sort of smelled like an old coconut, but that has gone away. We cooked that off successfully. What does it need? What does it need? It needs, I think it just needs a little bit of sweetness. I would love for it to have a little bit of fruity sweetness as opposed to just straight sugar. And I have a mango, and it's not too late to throw more stuff in there. We could just say mango, because that would give us some bright tropical flavor. Mangoes are pretty juicy, sweet, juicy mango. I can practice cutting up a mango, which I hate doing. Mangoes taste nice, but I really dislike preparing a mango. But this mango is also super ripe, so probably should use it. try to cut it like an avocado and it fails. This way might work. Nope. I hate these things. Can we get a pitless mango? That'd be great. Just cut right through it. All juicy deliciousness. None of this struggle. Oh, come on. I can never find the damn pit. I never know how to find the pit. I'm just mangling this. I'm just mangling this thing. Well, there. That's the cut. Oh, can never find it. All right. Let me just tell you how much I like the flavor but hate the process of mango. Because, boy, they taste nice, but they are the most frustrating of all the fruits for me. Okay, well, get rid of that little stem. Get rid of that little stem. And get rid of that. No. We're just going to mince this up and throw it in. So it doesn't matter that I've completely butchered it. Okay, so that has been the segment, How Not to Cut Up a Mango. Our daily segment, How Not to Cut Up a Mango. Join me tomorrow for our daily segment, How Not to Cut Up a Mango. I should come on just for a minute, or 5 minutes, or however long it takes, 4 hours, and just cut up a mango and then leave wordlessly. That'd be a fun stream, right? That'd weird people out, right? Where did I put why is the big knife on the stove? That shouldn't be. Anyways. Oh, there's skin pieces in here still. Okay, I'm good enough. Good enough. Can you tell I don't like cutting up mangoes? Can you tell I'm frustrated about the whole mango situation? I'm not going to be able to change my camera over because my hands are very sticky and I want to wash them before I touch any of the electronics. Okay, and that's the last ingredient I think we're going to add because that should give me the sweetness and the tartness and a slightly different shade of orange in our vat of orange. I like that these chunks of the Bengali gourd have not broken down to nothing. There's still these nice visible wedges. The papaya pieces, too, are holding up quite nicely. And the whole thing has achieved a level of thickness. I can swipe the bottom and see the bottom of the pan. So that probably means we're good. I should give it at least a few minutes to absorb the mango. But otherwise, we're probably running in on it, which is good because this is lunchtime for me. And I want to sit down and eat this. Because this is my breakfast. Because although it is currently almost 12:30, I have eaten no foods. This is why we don't do an actual breakfast stream. Jovial does not eat breakfast. Jovial is not a breakfaster. Jovial wakes up and has a coffee. And then around noon starts thinking, I should have breakfast. Which these days usually consists of leftovers from whatever my last stream was. Because I make so much food. This is going to have more leftovers now. There's no way I'm eating that much today for lunch. But that's fine. That's good. Because that means I have lunch ready to go for tomorrow. Oh, when I raid out today, there's going to be numbers are going to be a little bit sad. When I raid out today, we're going to get to raid somebody I haven't ever done because we're at such a weird time. I should think about that. I should check my camera station. We're coming up to the point where I think we're going to do photos and do the official tasting. Let's do one last little check to make sure I don't need to add anything to our Ooh, 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 ooh. No, I love it. I like it. Ooh, no, that's taking us to a good place. That's taking us to a good place. If I know my curries, it'll taste even better tomorrow. Um, let We're going to be smart, and instead of trying to haul this over there, we're going to bring the bowl over here. Grab one of the nice wedges. Make sure it's nice and visible on the top. And it's a little one note-ish here, so we're going to dress it up. Scooch of chili oil, and it needs a little bit of a bright green topper. Which is going to be just part of a scallion. Ugh. Ugh. Peel that one off. That one's not good. We can do this easy with the scissors as well. Take off the dry bit, take off the dry bit, and just go so just a little bit of fresh green on top. Since all of the green things we put in there got cooked away. And I'm going to give it a pinch of bicolored sesame. And then I think we're going to be taking photo. So I will be right back with this and the formal tasting. Where'd my phone? Here it is. I said camera. There we go. Okay. Pretty simple photos today. slide back in. Grab a big old spoon. This calls for a big old spoon. And let's get to tasting. See what we got, what we're working with. Try to get a little bit of everything if I can. Scoop that, the squash. Well, a hot. Mmm. 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 Oh, there's so much going on. Oh, it's. Oh, it's like a carnival of different flavors and textures. Mmm. It's it's spicy. Bits of it are sweet, bits of it are savory. They kind of blend into each other, but not completely. The rind parts of our Bengali gourd, including the one here that that has been cooking since the beginning, the insides have gone to almost a complete nothing mush. The rinds are still crunchy. They still have a good, almost fresh crunch to them. And that's very intriguing that I can cook them that long and they maintain that firmness. A zucchini won't do that. You'll lose that crunch on the zucchini. These guys hold up. These guys hold up. Come on, try other things with it now. We're gonna have to bag those extra pieces up and save them. Hopefully not go to waste. The whole thing is actually kind of mellow. It's spicy, it's sweet, it's fruity, but none of those things are like jumping out at you. It's very warming. It's like a nice warm stew, but it still has this tropicalness to it. The mango is especially nice. Because it was put in so late, it still has all of its bright, juicy flavor to it. And it gives you this burst of bright, juicy acidity. This is really good. The papaya might have lost flavor just by sitting around cut up like that. It has surprisingly held its texture extremely well. It's almost like pieces of potato. And it tastes like papaya, but it doesn't have much sweetness to it. So it acts a lot more like pieces of potato, which is weird because I thought this was going to be the potato in our mixture, but that has ended up being more like a green bean, where it's got this more of a firm crunch to it. And papaya chunks are weirdly fruity potato. I'm surprised by the results. It's good. Well, there you have it. I literally threw a bunch of stuff that I had on hand that was about to go off in a pot and cooked it. It is the most use up leftover Z meal, which is what soups, that's what you do with a soup. You just, whatever you got, throw it in a pot, taste it, and then throw spices at it to adjust it for whatever imbalances your random mishmash of stuff has created. In our case, adding the sourness was definitely very important, although the brighter, fresher tartness of the mango toward the end was very, very nice. Yeah. It's winter in my book. It'll probably taste even better tomorrow because that's what curries tend to do. We might have gotten away with not throwing in the turmeric. I threw in turmeric because I feel like curries need turmeric, but I think we probably shouldn't have. We could have gotten away with not and just leaned into the tropical soup, like a spiced tropical soup. Millions. Millions of what? Did I say millions? In what context did I say millions? Keep looking at the top of my head briefly as I eat. So yeah, I guess that's the thing. Now my lunchtime is now, so I need to eat this now so I don't spoil my dinner. Which I guess that means we're going to give it a wrap. This thing, success. I strongly approve this message. If you see a big weird fruit or a big weird vegetable that you're not familiar with at your local grocery store, and it's not like break the bank prices, give it a try. You never know what's going to happen. We've had some that didn't work out so well. The Tamarillo, I still don't know what to do with that. This guy's a winner. I might get him instead of green beans in the future. I'm already thinking of all sorts of things you could do with this. Because you could do, if you cut out the interior part and just kept like strips of rind and cooked that, you'd get these sort of long, crunchy noodles. This was marked on the label at the store as a Bengali gourd. And when I tried searching for that, I got a lot of Bengali recipes or Bengali squash. I got a lot of recipes for Bengali flavored or Bengali recipes for squash. It was really hard to search for. This thing has some other names, but a lot of those names are also the names of some other similar things. It's a type of bottle gourd, near as I can tell. It's not the kind that they dry and turn into the containers, but it's like the first cousin to that. So that you could also potentially call this one a bottle gourd. But unlike those hard gourds, it has the same idea where it's got this firm rind and this interior. I bet you if you dried this, that interior would start to shrink back. But in this case, it's picked while it's still green. The seeds are nice and tender. And this interior fills the interior. It's not hollow. That's probably what this browning is. Although the way the other one was starting to develop soft spots, I don't think that this variety would dry well. I think it would just rot. And yeah, I see this all the time. And I don't know what to do with it. And I just happened to see a pair of them in a bag in the discount thing for $1. And like, I will give those a try. I've been looking at those for ages. I don't know anything about them. I will give them a try at that price. And I'm very impressed, and I will definitely keep these things in mind in the future. I wonder how easy they're to grow. Anyways, we'll have to do something else with this guy, and also the remaining cut up pieces, because this was the smaller one that I cut up. This was the smaller one that I cut up. This one is even bigger, and I still was more than I needed. The speckling. So the fresh ones that I see most of the time are this lovely green speckling, and this brown stuff sort of develops as they age. Although it seems to literally be just on the surface because it's not soft up there at all. It's still nice and firm. So yeah, no, big success on these guys. It wasn't much of a gamble at $1, honestly, and it was finally used up that blasted papaya coconut mixture. Boy, let's see who's on at 1:45 on a Wednesday. Because we're about to raid out. Also, hi, Patsy. I didn't say hi. Hi, Patsy. Patsy saw me briefly during the complete disaster of yesterday. Still have no idea what happened there. As you can see, I haven't done anything. I couldn't solve any problems, but everything's perfectly fine today. It was real weird. Yeah, I didn't really announce this in advance. I just kind of said in my Discord at the very end, after canceling yesterday, that I might try again for lunch. I should have made a formal announcement to get people's attention for it, because I knew nobody was going to expect this one. It was going to come out of nowhere. But who can we drop you folks on today? Should be somebody we don't do ever. Chemical's on. We haven't seen Chemical in a while. Jim is doing Legos. Mute. Sure. Let's go with Jim. Oh, they changed the RAID interface. That's not good. Why is it so big? It covers the entire screen. That's a bit of a nightmare. So we're gonna go say hi to JJam Jim, who's doing Legos. We've done Legos a few times. I want to do Legos more, but Legos are expensive. Jim does Legos all the time. So if you like Legos, go check out Jim. Otherwise, I plan to be back here normal time Friday. I guess fingers crossed nothing goes horribly wrong. I'm not sure what we're working with. I got a big chunk of pork belly. We could do something with that. I have only a couple of leftover odds and ends that need to be used up. So, we got a lot of freezers. We should dive into the freezer. So yeah, for the few of you who caught me today, surprise! Thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking with me. We had a big success today, and I guess I'll see you on Friday. I'll keep this time slot in mind in the future if I come up with something. Bye.